well, if I can't fly, I'm going to do the next best thing and jump out of them. So you can ask a lot of veterans at Monument Terrace on a Friday. You can ask them how they felt coming home. Some of them never got a welcome home at all. You're in the swamp in Florida. You have no idea where you are. And so it's fun, I'll tell you. I'm going to survive this. And I'm going to get that dark green colored hat. To Tom Blessing's Pilar. Wow. John Wayne's widow, who painted the painting in her home. I got a print. It's on the wall. You got to see it. And the results were striking. I mean, you wouldn't believe what that did for those girls. I mean, it's the gospel, but I've seen it firsthand.
So still a practicing attorney.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody. I'm trying to make some friends around here. We're going to honor our fallen. We're going to honor our heroes. And in almost every case, we have to do it ourselves. And that's just the way it is. To be free is to be obedient to the principles in the Bible. I firmly believe that, without apology.
Welcome to another edition of No Holds Barred. I'm Rich Roth, and my guest today is retired Colonel, Tom Curran. Hi, Tom.
Hello, thank you.
Appreciate you taking a couple minutes for us. You came highly recommended as someone I needed to talk to from a very good friend of ours, Steve Bozeman.
Oh my gosh! Don't believe everything you hear.
We're gonna dive into this a little bit later on, but you're very, very involved with a lot of the veterans. I'm just going to say veteran stuff going on around here, supporting veterans who come back. I mean, whether it be through Valor Farms or the Virginia or the Lynchburg Area Veterans Council, the Desmond Doss House. We're going to talk all about that.
Okay.
But I want to dive in to learn a little bit more about you and how we got here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All righty.
You went to Purdue.
Graduated from Purdue in 72. Went there in 68. Vietnam was going strong at that time. So decided I'm going to take ROTC because I can go as an officer that way. I assumed I would have to go one way or another. So.
That was a big deal back then, right? Everybody just assumed that they'd wind up getting drafted and have to go. Yep. So it was just evaluating what your best path was. So you decided ROTC.
Yeah, so decided to land in the Army ROTC, and the draft was still going strong. And the first lottery was held. I drew number 86 in the very first lottery, but I was in advanced ROTC at the time, so I was already committed. And that kept me from being drafted. Of course, I went and did a bunch of active duty anyway. So
now you told me that you originally wanted to fly fighter jets in the Navy, but weren't able to.
Yeah, or Air Force aircraft, sure. And I just didn't have the vision. And back then they were, you had to be 20/20. And so, well, if I can't fly, I'm going to do the next best thing and jump out of them. So I went to the Army ROTC people, and yep, there we landed.
So they're sitting there going, wait, you want to jump out of planes? Of course we'll take you, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I bet there's not a long line of them for that.
They weren't too worried about the vision for some reason.
Were there a lot of people who wanted to do that?
Well, not back then. Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't that attractive back in the late 60s, early 70s. The military was having a rough time, especially the Army, really.
Why?
Well, the war was unpopular, and I understand that, I really do. And the draft was unpopular. So there were some struggles at that time. And then, of course, it became an all-volunteer force in the early or mid-70s. So things did pick up.
You talk about the unpopularity of, Vietnam, and I mean, I think you could probably draw some parallels to where we are in our country today with, the protests. And I mean, does this feel like a little bit of deja vu for you?
Yeah, it does remind you of those days. I was on a large campus, Purdue, and there were demonstrations, a few, but it was such a campus oriented toward the military. And all the ROTC branches were there, and that was kind of a big deal. So it didn't amount to a whole lot there. But, it does remind you of the protests. And you kind of wonder, gee, what are we doing here? What's the end game? So, yes, sir, I agree with you.
How did that make you feel? I mean, you're there with a lot of other, like you said, very, very pro-military, institution, a lot of ROTC, and, to see the protests and the people who, weren't happy with the country. And, the crazy part about it, and I'm too young to remember this. There aren't many things I can say that about anymore. But I mean, I'm too young to remember the vitriol that was really directed towards the soldiers, I mean, and it's like, they didn't have any say in this. If you're upset at the politicians, that's one thing. But I mean, for what we saw and the way that the soldiers coming back from Vietnam were treated, that's crazy.
I know that we go where we're sent. Mm-hmm. We follow orders. And you can ask a lot of veterans at Monument Terrace on a Friday. You can ask them how they felt coming home. Mm. Some of them never got a welcome home at all, and that's tragic. But we're doing our best now to correct that. Mm-hmm.
So you're in ROTC. You're not able to fly, so you said, "Let me jump out of airplanes." Hey, why?
Well, why not?
Why? You got to have a better reason than that.
Well, I ended up flying a couple airplanes, by the way. But anyway, I was going to miss Vietnam. I was too young, and I was going to miss it by a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Graduating in 1972, and I volunteered to go, and they said, no, we don't send Green second lieutenants to Vietnam. Where else you want to go? So I always felt a little bit on the guilty side because all the older NCOs and older officers, they'd all been to Vietnam. So I thought, I've got to kind of prove myself. I've got to kind of make up for lost time here. Maybe it was pride, but I decided to go airborne and Ranger and Special Forces and all that because I did not go to Vietnam. I felt kind of inadequate, and that's why I did it. I wanted to show, no, I'm serious about this. You guys all went to Vietnam, and I didn't get to, and I'm going to try to make up for that in my mind and volunteer for everything I can grab.
Ranger and Special Forces, Green Beret, I mean, that's hardcore stuff.
It seems like it now with my cane and all. Yeah, that's right.
I think the term I used when we were talking on the phone was badass.
Oh, well, you can use that. I'm not going to use it, but go ahead.
You don't have to use it. Is it right though?
Well, thank you. Okay, I'll take it as a compliment.
I mean, tell me about the other folks that were in the Ranger units with you, and and the Special Forces. I mean, that's got to be an accurate way to describe them.
Well, yeah, we had incredible people in Special Forces. We had a group surgeon. We were headquartered in Arlington Heights, Illinois, 12 Special Forces. We had a group surgeon that flew from Dallas every month on his own dollar to be the group surgeon in that group, stuff like that. Mm. People with languages, people that are just intelligent. And it was a pleasure to be around those people.
Tell me a little bit about, let's start with the Army Rangers, because that was first for you, right?
Yeah, I had been to jump school already, so I was already airborne, and volunteered to go to Ranger School at Fort Benning, of course, and we did it, and it was a challenge. 9 weeks of fun, I'll tell you.
Tell us what a Ranger is. I mean, we know that it's one of the elite forces in the Army, but I mean, drill down a little bit deeper for the folks who, don't know all the different divisions and everything and how the military works. Tell us what a Ranger does.
They are direct action troops, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. I've been away from it for a long time now, so I'm not an expert, but I do have experiences. Mm-hmm. And direct action troops go in, make an attack, make a strike, do a recon, and get out. Typically do not stay. Maybe go in first, maybe go in at night and jump in, but an objective, get it in, do it, and leave. That's direct action, as opposed to some of the other doctrines in the military.
I compared it to being a Navy SEAL. Is that a good comparison?
I think it is. To my knowledge, they are direct action. They go in and do these missions, secret. They can come in underwater, a lot in the water with them, and I really respect them. And I, in my opinion, they are also direct action. Get in, do a mission, grab somebody maybe, and get out. So
why do we hear more about the Navy SEALs than the Army Rangers?
Well, they get a lot of publicity.
Right. Why?
Well, they're tough. I really respect them. Our congressman was a SEAL, and what they go through in training is unbelievable. Now, I went through some of that, but not all the stuff with the water like they do. And and they get a lot of press and a lot of Hollywood stuff.
Tell me about the training for being a Ranger. You said it was 9 weeks long.
9 weeks, Fort Benning, and 3 different phases, and what a hoot! It's you got to be in shape when you go, or you won't make it. We lost probably half the class on the first day.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that first day like? Do you
my
remember
gosh!
it?
There's a physical fitness test and a swim test, and we did okay with the swim test. Not like the SEALs, but I passed it.
Okay.
And then a lot of guys weren't ready. I think now, of course, that was in 1973. I think there's more of a preparation, a better ramp up for it now, a selection type deal. I think they do more of that now, so they don't have so many flunk outs. But you still have some.
So when you decided to do it, was it a situation in which anyone who wanted to try could go, or did you have to be
back then you could volunteer. Now you had to be in a MOS, military occupational specialty. There had to be a need for it.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if you're going to be a surgeon in a hospital, maybe they won't let you go. Maybe that kind of thing. I was headed toward a combat engineer outfit. I was already airborne, and so they gladly took me.
And your engineering background at Purdue really came into play while you were in the Army.
I got a regular Army commission in the Corps of Engineers, and the Army has branches. Infantry, artillery, armor, special forces, engineer, medical, aviation, and had the engineering degree. And they offered me this commission in the Army Corps of Engineers, and so I took it, and I was in combat engineers units for a lot of my career, a lot.
But because of the way things kind of shook out in Vietnam, it ended by the time that you graduated from college. You didn't see a lot of active duty.
I saw 8.5 years of active duty.
Okay.
And then I switched to reserves.
Okay. I meant missions. You weren't really sent. Explain what your active duty was like. Let me do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just training to be prepared. Real world stuff and scenarios, but training, all training for us.
What was that like? Give us an example of what training in the Army. Let's stick with the Rangers for now. We'll move to Special Forces, but what was the training like? You talked about the first day, 50% of the people dropped out.
Yeah.
I want details, man.
Okay. Well, there's constant, I won't say harassment, but they keep you going.
Okay.
Very little sleep, sometimes very little or no food, sometimes no water actually. And there are phases where you're in the barracks and you're in classes and you're up early and you're running PT, physical training, and you're doing these unbelievable obstacle courses. You just wouldn't believe it. I can't believe it now when I see them. And classes, and you're trying to stay awake, and then you're up at 4 and 5 a.m. And then there's the field portions. There's 3 of them, at least back when I did this. Mm-hmm. And you're out on patrol. It's really small unit leadership. It's small patrol training, and you're out and there's always a scenario, and there's always bad guys with blanks, and there's always stress, and you're hungry, and so it's either at Fort Benning, I was actually in the Chattahoochee River on one occasion. And then Dahlonega, Georgia is the mountain face. We did climbing, and then there's missions to run. And then in the swamps in Florida Panhandle, chest deep in water, and doing the same thing, but it's patrolling. It's 15-man units, and with a specific mission, a destination to get to. You got to plan it out, and then you go in and carry out your mission, and they make it real world because you're stressed out and you're hungry and you're tired. And by the way, it's your turn to lead, so you take turns. And in the middle of the night, when you're about dead, okay, Ranger Current, you're the leader now. You're in the swamp in Florida. You have no idea where you are. And so it's fun, I'll tell you.
Fun, huh?
Yeah, oh, yeah. And there was an academic portion to that. You had to pass a test and then survive to the last day.
So why make the decision after the Rangers to go Special Forces?
Well, there was several years in between.
Okay.
And I was at Fort Bragg during that time and jumping out of airplanes and all that. And I always wanted to do Special Forces because they're headquartered at Fort Bragg, and I saw them. And they came back from Vietnam and were kind of outcast. It's a sad thing. And I thought, what are they doing to these guys? So I saw that, and I always wanted to do that.
What? Get some examples of that.
Well, they came back from Vietnam, and here I am, second lieutenant, first lieutenant, going around with my engineer platoon, doing stuff at Fort Bragg. And here you had Special Forces, E8s and E9s, picking up pine cones at Fort Bragg on, a police detail, picking up pine cones. I thought, what in the world? The high leadership didn't have a lot of respect for those guys. Anyway, I always wanted to be.
Why? Why do you imagine that? I don't know.
I have some ideas, but it's above my pay grade. So they were kind of outcast, and but I always wanted to be a Green Beret. So that's why I did it. I always wanted that.
And don't share if you don't want to, but I'm amazed by that because, as someone who has no military experience or background whatsoever, you hear about the Army Rangers, the Navy SEALs, the Green Berets, and it's like I think most civilians have the utmost respect for them, and I'm having a hard time understanding why they were considered outcast and why they were treated.
It was a phase, and that changed, by the way. Mm-hmm. Huge change a few years later. There was some top-level leadership that just didn't like them. That's my opinion. And I won't drop any names, but there were a few at the kind of Pentagon level. And I could ask some of my SF retired buddies what they thought about that.
Do you think it was politically motivated or personally motivated, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. Just curious. Okay, continue. You were talking about, you get up to Fort Bragg, you wanted to be a Green Beret, and you see these guys picking up pine cones, and you're like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah, really, for sure. That came along years later. I had several other career things in between that, and but I eventually did do it as a reservist.
Why?
So, I still wanted it.
You just wanted it?
Yeah, it was. I feel like, I believe in Providence, God's hand, whatever you want to call it. And the hand behind the curtain, that's what Desmond Doss Jr. calls it, the hand behind the curtain. Anyway, I felt like I had some calling there. And again, because I didn't get to go to Vietnam, I thought I've got to make up for that. So there you go.
Is that kind of, when you're in the Army, is that Green Beret, Special Forces, is that kind of the top level?
Well, yeah.
I used the word badass before. Yeah. Are those the biggest badasses going?
Well, yeah, I probably so. It's funny when young guys come back home on leave, or you talk to some parents. Oh, my son's in the Army, but he's Special Forces. And I say, well, what group is he in? Well, it's everybody claims it, and we get them down at Monument Terrace. Oh, I made 17 combat jumps. Oh yeah, what theater of operations was that? So A lot of people claim it, and we have a habit of checking them out. We have, for sure. Ask Steve about that; he'll tell you. Yeah, for sure.
Got to make sure they're legit.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to figure it out.
If that's kind of the apex, right? Tell me about some of the differences between Rangers and Green Berets or Special Forces.
Yeah, Rangers and SEALs, again, in my opinion, they're direct action troops. Special Forces has a different doctrine, different set of books, different school, and different mission. And they are the unconventional warfare arm of the military, not just the Army, of the military. And they have different categories of missions. They can go in and stay and win over the hearts and minds of the locals. This is all over the world now. Mm-hmm. And they've had the language training, and somebody tells them, here's who we're going to help. At the command, National Command Authority, it all comes from there. And, here are the guys that are friendly to America, and here's what we want to do in that foreign land, and go help them and train them in basic marksmanship and soldier skills and, that kind of thing, and win their hearts and minds. So that kind of thing, they're liable to stay 6 months somewhere or more. They also do direct action missions if called upon. They've been involved in some of those things. And they also, it's called foreign internal defense. If the government in power is somebody that America likes, okay, and there's some problems going on, somebody's trying to overthrow them, we will go in and help the government and their soldiers to train them and equip them and speak their language. And so it works both ways depending on what we're told.
Which did you prefer, Rangers or Special Forces? Or?
I think the Special Forces mission is tremendous. They get language training. The SF, Special Forces, SF medics are incredible. They go through all the SF training and another year as a medic. Oh, good grief. So they'll go into somewhere in Africa and end up delivering babies and doing surgery, minor surgeries. And they're just incredible. And there are two of them on the 12-man team. So they have my utmost respect. Good grief.
So you served in the Special Forces as a reservist.
Yes.
How did that work?
Well, we had a very busy unit. I, believe it or not, was the group engineer with my combat engineering qualification. The 12th group, they're the ones that sent me back to Fort Bragg to go get qualified at the age of 35. Another fun time. And
why?
Oh my gosh. The guys are all, early 20s, mid 20s. And you did all the same stuff, the patrolling, the rucksack marches. Rucksack's what we call the backpack with 60 pounds in it. And in August at Fort Bragg in 100-degree heat. Oh, boy. Anyway, so, and the patrolling and the classes. And then from there, you go back to your unit, and they drive the train on additional training. I'm going to send you to Monterey, California for a year to learn our language. Oh, okay. Imagine that. I could have done that, but I didn't have time. Reservists do get to do that. So to me, it's so unique and so humanitarian. When they go in somewhere, they improve the environment. They don't hurt the environment. They improve it. And so proud of those guys.
And I know you talked about, how proud you were to be a group engineer as well.
Yeah, the group headquarters has some specialties, and there's 3 battalions under the group headquarters. There are 5 active Special Forces groups and 2 reserve. They're National Guard actually. And they have geographical orientations. And so 7th group, a lot of those guys speak Spanish, believe it or not. So it's that kind of thing. Yeah, it's pretty high speed, and they call themselves the quiet professionals. They won't talk about it. I mean, it's hard for me to talk about this right now, but the quiet professionals, and I'm really proud of them, brother.
In our kind of initial conversation, you brought up the movie Rambo, and obviously there are tons of movies out there, and we can get into that a little bit more, but you were kind of explaining why that was so unrealistic because, you guys would never leave a brother behind.
Yeah, there's no one-man armies. And the Rambo movies were entertaining. And the A-Team TV show, I would never watch that. It's about teamwork. They would die for each other. There's no one-man army. And no heroes. In fact, they would sulk away from being called a hero. And that's the problem with the Hollywood version of it. Of course, it sells movie tickets. Mm-hmm. And it's not like that, in my opinion. We're going to get everybody home. And I'm going to die for my brother if I have to. And they would.
So, I mean, you experienced that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. In training. So, yes.
How do you replicate that in training?
Well, that's
I can see how that's really meaningful to you, and for you to only do it in training. It's like, how do they replicate?
They make up for the lack of the bullets not being real. The bullets are blank because we're not going to shoot anybody in training. At least we hope not. But they make up for that stress, lack of sleep, lack of food, harassment. Can you perform or not? The obstacle course, they make up for all that in the stress. In my Ranger class, we had a captain who had been to Vietnam, infantry, and he was now going through Ranger school, and he said Vietnam was nothing like this.
Wow!
So that kind of bolstered my faith in the training. But yeah, they make up for it.
Yeah, I'm curious about that, just because it's easy to imagine, right? For a civilian. Like myself, it's easy to imagine that if I'm, in a situation where I'm being shot at, like the bond that I would form with someone else there.
Yeah, right.
But, when you it's not real, right? I mean, to see how impactful that was for you.
Yeah. But it's also the goal. I want that Ranger tab. I'm going to get that Ranger tab. I'm going to survive this. And I'm going to get that dark green colored headgear. So that's the goal, and I'm going to help my buddy get his, and I'm not going to quit. And there's encouragement to quit. You're not going to make it. Suck it up, buttercup, that kind of thing. So they make up for it. I'm satisfied that they do.
Did you ever come close to quitting?
I'm thinking about that. No, I don't think so. No, I wanted this. Yeah.
Do you remember a time where it was the toughest, where you may have been, just questioning what the hell am I doing here?
So you're out on patrol in the swamp in Florida, and you drink water out of the creeks and put the pills in, or you're supposed to.
What pills?
Iodine tablets.
Okay.
Halazone tablets. They kill the bugs, and you can drink it. And I did. So one day I'm on canteen patrol. You get up all the canteens for everybody, a couple of us, put them on a sling rope. You go down. Here's a creek. Water looks clear. Oh, my. You're sick of the taste of those pills in the water because it adds the taste. I'm going to take a drink of this creek water without putting the pills in. Oh, my gosh. I mean, it wasn't an hour or two later. I went down. I mean, I fainted. And you've got this 80-pound rucksack, and you've got a weapon or a machine gun that you're carrying, and I'm down on the ground. And one of my Ranger buddies, who was a Marine in the Ranger School, carried my rucksack for me and my weapon because I couldn't. And I went to the next location. It was night. I'm not keeping anything down. And I was supposed to be the patrol leader that night, and they excused me. So the next morning, they medevaced me out. I went to the big Air Force hospital at Eglin Air Force Base, And boy, I'm sure I looked a mess. I was down to 150 pounds. And anyway, so they fixed me up. I won't tell you how. It's probably kind of obvious. Those things do work. And I'm back in the swamp that day. And there was a 12-day patrol back then. And 1 C ration a day is all you got. That's it. But on one day out of the 12, you got 2 C rations. And I went back, now able to eat, and that was the day there were 2 C rations that day. And boy, did I gobble them down. And I was down to 150, and we finished out. I did get to lead the patrol. You know, we did fine. But that was, man, I was sick as a dog, laying in the sand in the Yellow River Swamp in Florida. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, you asked.
Safe to assume that you use the pills every time after that?
Say that again. I'm
you
sorry.
use the pills every time?
Oh, yeah. I still have some. Are you kidding?
Just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know.
You never know. Tom, you referenced the A-Team before. You referenced Rambo. A lot of very unrealistic movies and TV shows and Hollywood portrayals of what it's like to be a Ranger or Special Forces or whatever. Are there any that you found to be realistic and that you thought really did a decent job, at least, of telling the story of what it's like, at least as far as training goes?
Well, you know, I love the Longest Day. It's really a documentary on the D-Day invasion. And, those guys from Bedford, good grief. Anyway, another one would be, of course, we love Hacksaw Ridge, and the reasons are obvious, I guess. Mm-hmm. And another one I really like is called 12 Strong. And it's a true story of a real A-Team from Fort Campbell going into Afghanistan. And they end up riding horses. And it's a true story. I read the book, and we're trying to get one of those guys to come to Lynchburg, by the way, who's actually on the team. And we'll see if that works out. But it's a true story. Apparently it's pretty accurate. And first, you think of the Army in the cavalry. When did they last ride horses? Sometime after World War I, maybe. And here we are with 12 guys on horses 100 years later. It's just an amazing story. And how they show how they take care of each other. And of course, they love America. And so that one that's a biggie. I'm trying to think of any more.
You talk about the riding of horses, though, in this, day and age or a more recent time. But that kind of points to what you were saying about special forces infiltrating, other countries, because the way people live in other countries isn't the way they live here. So you have to adjust and adapt and assimilate to what's going on there, I would imagine.
Well, yeah. And, because they're special, they get whatever they need. It might be a different kind of weapon. It might be something different. It might be, who knows? That's all classified. But it's unique. And so, of course, John Wayne and the Green Berets is my probably favorite movie. And it's pretty accurate from what I've been told by the other SF guys. And and it portrays, in the first part of the movie, they show a 12-man A-Team and what all they do and the different languages, and it's pretty cool.
Well, and that story goes a little bit deeper for you.
Yeah, way deeper.
Because, you talk about how realistic it was and how the Army and the Special Forces respected that movie and the job John Wayne did. He was actually, given a plaque, which not a lot of civilians get.
Oh, boy. It was 1968. They finished the movie, and according to what the guys told me, they presented him with a plaque at Fort Bragg, and it was stained glass, and it had the Green Beret, and it's a dagger-looking thing.
No, that type of plaque, that type of award is typically given to retired Special Forces people.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's a pretty special honor.
It is, and I don't know if anybody else ever got that. And I'm confident that the guys paid for that out of their pocket. But so it's stained glass, got the beret, and it's got this dagger-looking thing behind it. And that was presented to John Wayne. And years later, when he passed, his widow moved back to California. And come to find out, she called Fort Bragg. This would be the early 90s. And I can't believe she got word to somebody that mattered. And the French woman, first name Pilar, and she calls Fort Bragg and says the Duke's plaque was stolen or is missing, claiming it was his favorite memento. And word of that got to a two-star general that I did some work for. General Harley Davis, a great guy. I see why guys make general. This guy is spectacular.
Why? What stood out?
I think it's character. Their character is incredible. And of course, they stay physically fit and in their late 30s, early 40s. And word of this got to him. And this is the commanding general of the Special Forces Command, one of the Army. He's the ranking Green Beret in the Army. And I traveled with him some because I was one of the engineers in the Special Ops Command. There were two of us, and I did the traveling. And this General Davis wanted to visit his reserve component units on the West Coast and to see how they're doing, get briefings, blah, blah, blah. How's your assigned rate and, training status. And so I flew from Lynchburg, and he and his two aides flew from Fayetteville. We met them in San Diego, and we went all the way up the West Coast to military air because he gets protocol. He's a two-star. So C-12, twin engine, like a Beech, twin engine. That
must be pretty special to be.
Oh, are you kidding me? All the way up the West Coast in VFR, visual flight rules, daylight at 10,000 feet, following the coast. Is incredible. Who could pay for that? Anyway, so I link up with them in San Diego, and we're going to make a stop in L.A., and I'm finding what's going on. What are we? And there's a van sitting there with a driver, and to take him and the three of us to the home of John Wayne's widow.
Wow.
Yeah, really. And come to find out, word got to him. He had the plaque made again, and I'm confident he paid for it out of his pocket. Here's the plaque that was lost. He's going to present that to John Wayne's widow.
So not just send it to her.
No, he said, no, we're not mailing this. I'm going to take it. So we go to her house, and there's these John Wayne mementos sitting everywhere. And come to find out she's a painter, and she's painted a John Wayne portrait. It's over there on the wall with a light shining on it. Huge. It's got his Western outfit on. And so she'd been to Paris for John Wayne Week. So the general presented this new plaque to her, and we all got in a picture. And with a little bit of French accent, she said, I have something for you, gentlemen. And over on the grand piano, of course, was a stack of prints. And we all got one from that painting, and she signed every one of them. I have it. To Tom Blessings, Pilar. Wow. John Wayne's widow, who painted the painting in her home. I got a print. It's on the wall. You got to see it. That was pretty special.
Mm-hmm. And that whole trip, I mean, you're traveling. You're one of the core people traveling with a general.
Yeah, and I was a general's aide also prior to that, and another two-star, and we traveled quite a bit along the East Coast, and a lot of time traveling. And this was really special. We had all the Special Forces Reserve Component units on the West Coast at the time. So Seattle, L.A., San Francisco, Portland, and that was quite a trip. I'll tell you what.
The highlight, of course, meeting John Wayne's widow.
Pilar, you got it.
Tom, you graduated from Purdue with your degree in engineering.
Sure did.
But you're a lawyer. Help me with that one.
I was on active duty. I was a company commander at Fort McClellan. Things were going well. I enjoyed active duty. This was a combat engineer unit. This unit was not airborne. Just certain slots for that. Very few. So Fort McClellan doesn't have any airborne units. And I kind of felt the calling to switch careers, to go to law school. And
Why?
I mentioned Providence, the hand behind the curtain. The Lord, I felt like the Lord was calling me to go into the legal defense, First Amendment type stuff, and to go to law school. But I stayed in the reserves to keep my time going. I didn't miss a day. I switched the same day into the reserves status. So I went to law school, and I felt like I was supposed to do that. So, and we did do it for a while.
You said you felt a calling.
Yeah.
And, the type of law that you practiced right out of law school was faith-based.
Well, right out of law school, I was a lowly deputy Commonwealth attorney for a while, deputy prosecuting attorney in a large county. Lake County, Indiana is a suburb of Chicago, and there was a bunch of us, and I went to court every day with misdemeanors. And then I was a public defender for a while in Gary, Indiana, and juvenile court a lot. And then I finally got connected with this law firm in Cleveland who was doing this kind of practice that I was aiming for. They called and we met, and we moved to Cleveland. So
tell me about the practice you wanted.
Tell me about the
type of the practice.
Well, this was a firm that started out doing insurance defense work and regular routine stuff. And the two principal guys were believers. They got into defending Christian schools mostly, in some cases churches. We believe that the Christian school movement was kind of under attack in the 80s, and were given a hard time by the mainstream education folks who didn't like them, didn't want them around. So we defended some faith-based schools and churches and children's homes. I was personally involved in a children's home in Louisiana, and that was quite an experience.
How so?
This was a fundamentalist type Baptist church and children's home, without apology. I don't apologize for that. But this pastor, his name is Mac Ford. I don't mind dropping his name. Great guy. They had a children's home. He had a church and a children's home under that church ministry umbrella. And some people don't like that. But are you going to let the government define what your ministry is? Or are we free from that tyranny? So he had a children's home. He took in teenage girls from all over the country that were on the streets in every imaginable sin that you can imagine. These are parents bringing their teenage daughter, in some cases, physically. We had several from California. This is Louisiana. Because here's my daughter out on the streets doing who knows what. I can't find her, blah, blah. A couple of them even hired some well-muscled guys to grab up to physically. It's a parent now. Are there parental rights or not? So they would bring their girls to this place in Louisiana, and they pretty strict, you can imagine. And they had Bible studies, and they had school, and they had scripture memory, and they had chores, and they learned responsibility. They had to get up. They had to make their bed. They had to help with the chores. There were animals. They had to feed the animals, clean up after the animals, go to school, read their Bible, and memorize scripture. And the results were striking. I mean, you wouldn't believe what that did for those girls. I mean, it's the gospel, but I've seen it firsthand. And I had, Louisiana Department of Social Services didn't like it, of course. I'm sorry, but they didn't. They raided the place. They thought the girls were being abused, and thought I had a social worker tell me in a deposition that rather than have these girls sit and memorize the King James Bible, I'd rather they be out on the streets than doing that. You're kidding me. So there was a raid. They took the girls out unannounced, and we didn't get our due process. We didn't get to be there. Didn't get to appear in court. The girls are gone. So I go down there and try to pick up the pieces. And and of course, you take statements from everybody, to include the girls and everybody, parents. So I had a mother from California call me. This is going to kill me now. I'm sorry. And she said, I never met her now. She's on the phone. Mm-hmm. She said, I took my teenage daughter at 15 or 16, I think, to this children's home. We've been through all the rehabs. We've been through all the mental, everything. And it was my last resort. She's on the streets. I had to go find her. Took her, grabbed her, stuck her, I think, in a car with a strong guy. Took her to Louisiana, put her there, and they stay like a year. They're cut off from their friends. And there's none of that, no drugs, Mm-hmm. And parents can visit after a little bit and so on. And she said, in tears, she said to me, what I got back was a different person. Mm. She was kind, she was obedient, she was helpful, and it was like she'd been given a new heart. That's exactly what she said. It's like she'd been given a new heart. And if you read 2 Corinthians 5:17, I believe she was given a new heart. But anyway, that was quite an experience. I'm sorry to get a little emotional on you here, but
well, I mean,
it's true. It's true.
And we're seeing a lot of that now, Tom, right? I mean,
sure.
With parental rights and all these different things. And I mean, sure. you fought against that and now it's back. Yeah,
we fought against that. And you're talking, I was in Cleveland, 85, 89. So you're talking 88, 89. It was going on back then. And of course, it's still going on.
I mean, we just saw it at the State of the Union. I think it was a girl that's at Liberty who was taken, from her parents, and they were trying to transition, her and against her parents' will, without her parents knowing. I mean, what's going on?
What is that? How far have we gone? I can sum it up, and some folks are not going to like this, but it's good versus evil, period. I believe that part of what Special Forces does, and part of what we do, is we free people from tyranny. And the Special Forces motto is, in Latin, De oppresso liber, to free the oppressed. And, what's going on in Nigeria? Good grief. Anyway, I could go on and on. I say that to say it's good versus evil, in my opinion. Mm.
What brought you to Lynchburg?
Well, it was time for me to leave that law firm in Cleveland. We had friends here, family here, and I had to start over. And with a connection, I was put in touch with another attorney here, and he said, come on down. And I met with him, and he kind of took us in. And so got established in 89. Was admitted to the Virginia bar. That's 3 states now, Indiana, Ohio, and Virginia. And
you guys formed a partnership, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was Day and Current, great guy. And I was with him for 20 years. And then when I retired from the reserves, finally, I was able to move home and work out of my home, which I do now.
So still a practicing attorney.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody. I'm trying to make some friends around here. Don't tell anybody. But yeah, I work out of my home, and I've limited my practice to wills and trusts, estate planning, that kind of stuff.
But then you got involved and it was Monument Terrace.
Yes.
That really got you involved with a lot of and we referenced them before, but Steve Bozeman and, the veterans, the support the veterans get in the Lynchburg area is amazing.
It is.
It is. So what, did you just wander down to Monument Terrace one day, or how did that start?
There were a couple of other guys with Steve that started that. A guy, now he's gone now, Ray Gilbert, good friend. He had been in the 82nd Airborne. He's an ex-paratrooper from, I think, the 50s. And he started a chapter here of the paratroopers for the 82nd, and he asked me to join. I did that, joined, helped him with some events. And he would say, why don't you come down to Monument Terrace? Ray Gilbert would. And I finally did. And there's, of course, Steve. And from there, then it grew from there.
And then you guys formed the Lynchburg Area Veterans Council, and you helped as an attorney to form it. But that wasn't the end.
We did the legal work for it, and on the board of directors, and we did a lot. 2 Veterans Day parades hadn't been done in Lynchburg in years. We did that, and
why?
So
why no Veterans Day parades here?
Well, a lot of times, it seems like to me.
I mean, as strong a veteran community as this is, and as much support as people have in the Lynchburg area for veterans and the military, why didn't we have more?
I don't know. Desmond Doss Jr., who's a close friend now with all this stuff that's going on, has an opinion on that, and I'll let him share it when he's coming in October. I'll let him share that. Desmond Doss Sr. was disappointed that there wasn't much done for him when he came home, according to his son. So here's our philosophy on that. We're going to honor our fallen. We're going to honor our heroes. And in almost every case, we have to do it ourselves. And that's just the way it is. All the things we do, Monument Terrace, Memorial Day, Veterans Day in November, that's all us doing all that. Now, we invite people to be involved, but we do that, and we make it happen. We had an event a couple of years ago out on the Blackwater Creek Trail, the one near Lincoln Middle School. There's a trailhead there. And we planted 14 trees there along the trail. Next time you're on the trail, look at them. And in honor of the 14 veterans killed in action from Lynchburg since the War on Terror began. And each one has a tree. They bloom in the spring. What are they? Dogwood. Good grief. Dogwood. And each has a plaque at the base with their name and their theater that they were in. And we did that. We did that. Now, we had the help from Parks and Rec in Lynchburg, and they were awesome. They helped us. But we initiated it and did all, paid for the trees. We did all that, and had a dedication that's just very, very moving. And Desmond Doss Jr. was our speaker, and he's really good. Yeah. Anyway, so we do that. We have to do it. Who else is gonna do it?
You mentioned Desmond Doss Jr. You got a phone call from him one day.
He called. He claims they found the house that his father was born in and was excited that it was a rental. A businessman owned it, it's a rental property. And he gave me the address, and I went and found the owner. And it was between tenants, and he was working on it. And this is the house that Desmond Doss was born in 1919, February 7, I think. And I said, we want to rent it. Lynchburg Area Veterans Council is going to be your tenant. We'll rent it. And we made it a place for homeless veterans. And we dedicated it in October of 2019.
That's a significant date.
October 12, 1945 is when Harry Truman put the Medal of Honor around the neck of Desmond Doss. We have that picture. You've seen it. It's huge. So on October 12, 2019, 74 years later to the day, we dedicate his birthplace with his son as the guest, cutting the ribbon, And it was quite an event. And it's still there. We're still doing it, taking care of a house that's 120 years old on Garfield Avenue. So there you have it.
And again, the purpose for that.
For homeless for homeless veterans, give them a chance to keep the legacy of Desmond Doss alive, to tell his story. And he was such a man of talk about character. He wouldn't touch a weapon. They tried to get rid of him. And he saved the life of the company commander that tried to get him kicked out of the Army. He saved his life in Okinawa and 75 others. So we want to keep that story alive, and we are.
You're also really, really involved with the Valor Farm?
Valor Farm.
I almost forgot it. But
we got a call one day from one of the generals that got it going. I don't know if it's General Dees or General Horn, one of them. And they have found this 340-acre farm, Alta Vista, horse farm. And they're trying to get it to establish a place for veterans to recuperate, rehabilitate, take time out from distractions like drugs and alcohol, really. And it's faith-based. They have Bible studies to establish that and have tiny homes for them. And so we went to the hearings in Campbell County for the zoning and for the Board of Supervisors. I think we really helped. We had a group there of veterans who were, of course, in favor of this. And it went through okay. And they got their zoning and they got their approval, and they're going great guns. And it's a beautiful place. You ought to see it. I'll take you down there one day.
You said there was some opposition, though.
Yeah, some of the neighboring property owners did not want it there.
Why?
Well, I want to help veterans, but not in my backyard. That was almost a literal quote. They were concerned about the traffic congestion there on 29. It's right behind the restaurant there. I'll think of it in a minute. And some of them said, "Are they going to have guns? Are they going to be drunk and crazy and grab my chickens?" And no. Well, that's just not it. But those were the objections that were raised to it. It's beautiful. It's going great guns.
But a unanimous vote in favor of it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that you told me one of the county supervisors was opposed.
One board supervisor recused himself, and the other 6 ultimately all voted in favor. So it was 6-0 in favor, so there we go.
Tell me what kind of difference that's making for veterans right now.
The place is incredible. They come and stay, get away from all the distractions. They have their own tiny home. They have food provided, and it's very structured. General Dees could tell you all this. Very structured training, the reboot program, and all this stuff, PTSD, and so the idea is to return healthy veterans to America. And General Dees has a quote, and this belongs to him, is America needs her veterans now more than ever. And I believe that. I support that, of course.
Where are we at right now in America as far as you're concerned?
Well, of course, we're not political at all, that suits me to a T. We're a nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit. We don't politic, we don't lobby, and I'm glad that we don't. But I always look at this from the believer side, and that's without apology. I believe I know our culture's gone downhill. Who would have thought that you would try to change somebody's sexual orientation without telling their parents? Who would have thought of that 10 years ago? So you look at what the Founding Fathers said. We have to have morality. There's no liberty without morality and Christian Judeo ethics, and I'm a firm believer in that. I think we've strayed from that, and of course there's a force out there that wants that to happen, of course, and we're losing our roots. To be free is to be obedient to the principles in the Bible. I firmly believe that, without apology.
We're going to be okay as a country?
As a believer, I pray for revival. And I think if we had revival, we'd have a chance. But to me, Rich doesn't look good to me. The way we're headed, the lack of morality. Look at what George Washington said about morality and virtue. And, some of them were believers, I guess, some of them weren't, but they all believed in morality and character and honesty and all that kind of thing. So I think we're in trouble.
Lynchburg Area Veterans Council, Valor Farm. You're a practicing attorney. What's next for you, Tom?
Well, you saw me hobbling around here with my cane. I wouldn't mind a retirement. I am 76. The work keeps coming in. Charlotte and I, we bought a trike. We had motorcycles. I rode Harley for years.
Yeah.
My balance isn't too good now, so we bought a trike, and we bought a recumbent bicycle for me, 3 wheels, and an e-bike for her. We love riding the trails, Creeper Trail down in Damascus, Abington. Love that. We're going to try and do some of that because I need some exercise, and then otherwise we'll be out on that trike, and we don't take very many vacations. But probably need to. But I see we're going to need to keep going for a while. Looks like it.
And keep working to help and support other veterans, obviously.
Well, yeah, that's quite a chore. It's a lot, but it's great. We do events, try to raise money. All volunteers, by the way, no paid staff. So our overhead isn't much. And I think we've done a lot, and there's a lot more coming. Stay tuned.
Look forward to seeing what you guys do next.
Okay. Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tom Curran, Colonel, retired, here on No Holds Barred.